who's going to be coming back in for this game at the back line, has been really, really impressive, alongside Davidson, who's completely out, actually. So you want to know what's going on there. But, of course, going forward, that's where they've been really making the difference. Lots of mobility. I think alongside Beijing, they're the two most balanced sides in this competition just so far. And I think both Beijing and also have got to start having a look about in that next stage. I don't think they want to meet each other. So this is where it's key now, and this is where we can start having a look at what the coaches are thinking about. Simon, when you're having a look at Ulsan, having a look at Beijing, as a coach right now, you've got one foot in the next stage. I know you don't want to look too far ahead, but you can't help it, can you? Surely Beijing and Ulsan don't want to meet each other.
No, you'd be looking ahead. I mean, you'd be telling people you're not, of course. You'd be doing all the interviews saying it's one game at a time, blah, blah, blah. That's what you do. But you have got one eye on, okay, well, you know, are we going to get through? Are we going to play this? It might have an effect, you know. Will be interesting to see, but of course you've got one eye on the next round. You're having a little look, and you'll be making sure that you check the results of other games as well, just to make sure you've got enough time to prepare for whoever you're playing against.
Okay, well, the last time these two teams met, as I mentioned, was February 11th. That was 9 months ago. It was a really entertaining game of football. Both sides hit the woodwork on both sides, actually. It was 1-1 it finished, so they shared the spoils here. Just a quick one here, Simon. What's your prediction for tonight's rematch?
I think it'll be another tight affair. Two very, very technical teams. I would suspect another draw. I could see that happening. What I will say is, a lot might depend on Diego Oliveira. If he plays, he's their live wire. He creates a lot. If he plays, I'd go for a very tight draw. If he doesn't, I would fancy Ulsan.
All right, so it's FC Tokyo up against Ulsan Hyundai, and that is coming up here on the Fox Sports Network. One of 4 games that we can look forward to. Kicking off at the same time, it's Beijing FC. They're up against FC Seoul from the Korean capital. So many problems on and off the pitch for the Korean side, but they find themselves one win away from a spot in the last 16. We're going to take a closer look, though, at both teams after the break.
Football, it's relentless, and that's the way we like it. The games will come thick and fast. A hero one week could become a villain the next. Some clubs will look for silverware, others simply to survive. It's a lot to take in, but I plan to be on top of it, because when it comes to football, the conversation never rests, and neither do I.
Now the game is on. 25,000 here to watch a famous occasion. Great chance to score here. Buries it into the corner. Goes for goal! Brilliant. Unbelievable. And Sultan Indian Stadium explodes with joy. Oh, what drama. It's exactly what they were looking for. They're the champions of Asia. Absolutely top class. Nicely won back by Alan. Slipped through by Renato. Just creating a bit of space. And the opening goal off a deflection for Fernando. In. Oh, that was an excellent chance and a very good save from Hassanu. There's some space here, Alan. Alan. Oh, he's got it in. Stake there by Fernando. Backhand ball. And they've got it. Oh, I never like seeing those kind of run-ups to the ball, but he's put it away.
Thanks so much for staying with us here on Fox Sports Live. You just saw there the action between FC Seoul and Beijing FC when they last met. That was only 9 days ago. A really, really impressive performance by Beijing, who had all their heavyweights on the pitch that day. The question is, do they have all their heavyweights starting today, now that they're safely through to the round of 16? John, tell us about it.
Almost all their heavyweights. They haven't got Alan, which is, I think, it's a big miss. But they've got more than enough quality to kind of deal with it. Jonathan Vieira, who I think has been absolutely fantastic. He's going to be flitting in between the lines. Liker comes in, the English-born midfielder. He's also going to be a real live wire. He's going to be, likes the contact, very, very busy, plays around corners really, really well. Wangan keeps his place at right back, which is key. Defensively, very, very solid. And I think not just attacking, but defensively, they've been very sound as well. Renato Augusto, for me, is one of the best players in this competition. Does all facets of the midfield and attacking work really, really well. But no Fernando. I think they're going to miss him. I do expect him to step off the bench and join in. He's very, very good defensively, but he does make things tick, one and two touch play. And if we have a look at these imports, Simon and I were talking about how they link up really well, the triangles they create in the final third. And we look at mainly, once they get over the halfway line, how they keep one centre midfielder just holding, and then they go and play free-form football. This isn't something that you coach. This is something where the coach tells them to go and express themselves. Try not to hang on to the ball too long. And Simon, when we're looking at these imports, in particular Renato Augusto and Jonathan Vieira, you've been impressed with their mobility, their movement, technical prowess as well, Simon.
Yeah, Augusto, I've just been really impressed with Augusto all round. You know, he looks very good going forward. He can pick a pass. He gets back, like we mentioned in the last show, he gets back and makes his tackles. He works very hard for the team. But I love the way Vieira plays. Vieira he's one of these little mosquitoes you just can't pick up, because he's always just flying around, being busy, getting into little holes. And he manages to find these little pockets of space in front of centre-backs and behind centre midfielders where he can just play into forwards, get it back, play great football. He's a really difficult player to pick up, so I think he'll have a big impact on the game tonight. Yeah,
the little mosquito. I'm not sure if Vieira has a nickname yet, but I think that'll be quite a cute nickname, the little mosquito.
That'll do, will it?
Yeah, I think it would do. It's very apt, as you were saying. I want to bring up Wang Ziming. He's come off the bench in a couple of matches and scored 2 goals. A worthy replacement for Alan tonight, John?
I think so. Very different than Alan. I don't think his movement's quite up there with Alan. I still think he's kind of trying to get towards that level. I think he's a real confidence player, like you see with a lot of Asian players, especially in advanced areas. A lot of Asian players aren't comfortable with kind of having a little bit of swagger, with making it all about them. And if you're playing in those advanced positions, if you want to be scoring goals, it has to be about you. You have to be selfish. You have to want to have your name in the paper the next day. And culturally, I think it's something where Asian players in particular, Simon, you kind of have to prepare them for that.
Yeah, it doesn't often go hand in hand. You know, the best centre forwards in the world will tell you they're selfish. They have to be. They have to take those chances. And what I will say is, playing in and around such talented foreign players, you know, all you have to do is make a good run, and you'll get found. We saw there just quickly the way that Vieira found him in between 2 players. It was a straight run, a nice simple pass, then he finishes it in the corner. So long as he's making the runs, so long as he's lively, he'll get found with passes with such talented players around him. So great opportunity for him to get goals.
Okay, let's take a look at FC Beijing's opponents tonight. FC Seoul, of course, coming off a 2-1 defeat to Chiang Rai United. No surprises, quite a number of changes to this side, John.
Well, only 3 changes for Beijing. There's only 3 players that keep their starting berth in this FC Seoul side. No great surprises there, because they were absolutely abject against the Chiang Rai side that I think could have had more goals. At their best, they play quick football, quick passing football. At their worst is what they were against Chiang Rai. What are we going to see today against Beijing? Well, we're hoping we're going to see these quick 1-2 touches in the final third. Against Beijing, especially in the second half, I thought they were decent. Against, like we keep saying, against a really high-quality Beijing side. But just pause this here. They get bodies around, little triangles, 1 and 2 players, nice and close to each other. They move it quickly out into this wide area. Just pause that there. And Beijing are nice and organised, but I like the fact that they get bodies forward. They've got 4 players inside the 18-yard box. Nice cross in, and they almost get their just rewards. Keeper has to just make a stop. This is what I really like in this position just here. Absolutely fantastic. There we go. That's what you want to see. That's what we're used to seeing from FC Seoul in this competition over a number of editions. Once they get ball into the wide area, they're going to sling it in, and Beijing have to scramble to get this clear. Another shot on target. They scramble and just about get that clear. And this is what they were doing constantly in that second half against the Beijing side. They didn't do that one bit against Chiang Rai. Really, really poor. Didn't move the ball quick enough. We're going to have another look at this because this was onside and this could have changed the game.
Yeah.
I think they're great if they can suck Beijing out a little bit. 1 and 2 touch play. There you go. He's onside. Poor call from the linesman who's right on point. We don't know which side's going to turn up today. We know Beijing's going to be tough, but we don't know what side's going to be turning up for FC Seoul.
So these are the 2 matches coming up for you across the Fox Sports Network. It's the second meeting in 9 days for Beijing FC and FC Seoul. And in the other match on Fox Sports 2, FC Tokyo, Ulsan FC. Stay with us on Fox Sports Live.
Flip the switch on your TV and catch Generation Gap, a new show where generations debate whose generation is the best.
It would be a toss-up.
Usually a draw win for Serena.
Did you not see Suarez play for Liverpool?
I did.
Do me a favour, come on!
Thursdays, 8 p.m. on Fox Sports.
This December on National Geographic Network. We wrap up the year with a search of the most cursed places on Earth.
There's definitely something out here with us.
Uncover a season of frozen magic and striking majesty. Discover the perfect snow-covered Christmas cabins with George Clark. All new this December on National Geographic Network.
The next round. FC Seoul have things in their hands at the moment. That's important. But Melbourne Victory and Chiang Rai United know they can still get through if they win their remaining games and perhaps results go their way. Remember, it's based on head-to-head rather than goal difference, which does just turn things around a little bit. And it means that if Seoul win this game by a bigger margin than the first time they played Beijing, they lost 2-1, remember, and they go on to win their final game against Melbourne Victory, then they could quite easily top the group. In fact, they will top the group if that happens. But, of course, Beijing will also need to lose their last game against Chiang Rai. There are so many permutations, but the most basic one tonight is if Seoul win this game against Beijing and the other game tonight between Chiang Rai and Melbourne ends in a draw, then Seoul will go through, and that's what they'll be hoping for today, to just finish it tonight, and instead of having to wait till match day 6. The man who has worked on Champions League for a long time with me as well, and who watched the first game between these two, Jamie Reeves, with me in a commentary position. Jamie, that was a fascinating game between Beijing and Seoul first time out, because it took a long time to get going for Seoul. Beijing were impressive to start with, and then Seoul, particularly in the second half, really caused problems, didn't they?
Yeah, I think Beijing have been excellent so far in the tournament, but FC Seoul weren't bad at all in that game, and you could see that all being well, that they were going to go from strength to strength, and then when they go and beat Chiang Rai 5-0, you think, well, okay, that confirms that. They're going to amass a nice number of points, and I was looking at their table. the other evening when Beijing were playing against Melbourne Victory, and I was thinking, well, FC서울 will beat Chiang Rai again, they'll be on 9 points, that's the group done and dusted, and they go and lose 2-1. And that's the great thing with football, you do get these upset results. It is an unpredictable sport, and it's one of the things that we love about it. But I don't think FC서울 are a bad side. They're not as good as they used to be, but they've got some good players, and I think they're in with a shout tonight. Beijing, foot might come off the accelerator a little bit. It's difficult. They'll be talking it up, you know. Oh yes, of course it's a result. We've got to do it, but will they really? I don't know.
Yeah, it's been Jekyll and Hyde, hasn't it, with this FC서ul side. They've had a lot of problems this season. They finished very poorly domestically, didn't they? Finished 9th, which was their second worst finish in their history in the league. And they've had 4 different coaches. The current iteration comprises of Lee Won-jun and his predecessor, who's part of the coaching staff. Of course, the long-serving Choi Wong-soo, who's been very much associated with this club. Choi Wong-soo, he stepped down earlier. The unfortunate passing away of a teammate almost, well, exactly a month ago has not helped matters either. So they've gone through some strife, Jamie, and it's been borne out with these different sort of performances.
Yes, it's a very good point that you make there, Shazad. It's off the pitch, it's been a bit chaotic. On the pitch, it's been a bit chaotic. I did think that maybe coming away for a tournament like this, that the group would get together, the coaching staff would manage to create a better, more positive environment, and then go from strength to strength. But always you have to remember with these tournaments, it's how you finish, not how you start the tournament. And at the moment, Beijing are looking much the best team from this group, and one of the favourites to end up as champion of East Asia. But there's a long way to go yet, and I've just got this feeling that FC서울 might come into this game tonight and might have a couple of surprises to spring.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of speculation as we see the teams in the tunnel and coming out very shortly. There was a lot of speculation as to how Beijing will approach this game. We've already said they're through to the next round, but they're not top, and that does make a difference, doesn't it, Jamie? You want to secure the top spot. Yep. And so the question is, what kind of side are they going to put on? This is the harder of the 2 games they've got left. But Genesio, he knows matters are in his hands. That's important.
Yeah, and he's once again talking about rhythm. Yeah. There's somebody who's on the bench who's played every minute of the competition so far, Kim Min-jae, the monster. So Bruno Genesio has run the changes a bit, but he hasn't made wholesale changes. There's a lot of continuity in there. Some important players, none more so than Renato, the Brazilian number 5, who's probably been the man of the tournament so far. He's going to keep his spot. Jonathan Vieira is also in the starting lineup, so he's kept some key players in there. He's resting other players. I think more than the personnel, it will be the attitude of the players, though. And I know some people think, oh, well, you know, players should be up for every game, and they should be. But there's up and there's properly up for each game. You can go out there and you can say, oh, I'm running around a lot, I'm giving it everything I can. But are you really busting the gut to win this game of football? And it's a game of football that Beijing don't have to win. You know, if they don't win this game, actually nothing tragic happens to them at all. And as you say, against Chiang Rai, you would expect them to at least get the point that would guarantee the top spot. So, difficult for the mental side.
And going on the mental side, there's something to be said about momentum. You've won all your games so far. You don't want to be putting them in second string with all due respect to the players involved, and then lose again, and then try to get back into that winning mentality, knowing that in order to secure top spot, you have to beat Chiang Rai again. You want to continue that.
It's a very difficult balancing act between the continuity and also, there's another aspect of this. What about keeping the other guys interested? The guys who are there, they're saying, I'm never going to get a game.
We'll come back to that and we look at the lineups here. And yeah, as Jamie said, by no means is this a second-string side. Yu Young, Wang Zheming, Li Ke and Yang Fan are the additions of the new players that come in today. Kim Min-jae, with every minute, is taking a bit of a break. FC Seoul, very, very different story. Only 4 survivors from the side that lost to Chiang Rai. Wang Yun-soo, Cho Yong-wook, very impressive so far. Yoon Yong-sun and Kwon Min are the only survivors. Once again, the goalkeeper has been changed. Yu Sang-hoon is replaced for the man who started things off, Young and Bean. Mohammad Taki of Singapore in charge of this game. His assistant is Ronnie Ko, and Neighbours Malaysia also involved in this game through Yusri Mohammed, and fourth official Amirul Izwan. Bruno Genesio has been there, done that, coaching at the highest levels, France in particular. And he'll want to get through with that momentum as we talked about. As we look at those teams, Jamie, it's still a very strong Beijing FC, isn't it?
It is. I think changing the central defenders looks a little bit on the bold side. You don't often think the central defenders are the players most in need of a break. They don't cover the pitch in the same way that like the fullbacks do these days, or the midfielders. But it's the choice that he's made, and I just wonder also with FC Seoul, looking at them, if they might go with 3 central defenders tonight, because Kim Won-gun, the number 40, is essentially a centre-back. I just think they might have a little change of shape to stir things up a little bit. Although, looking at their line-up there, that couldn't look more like a 4-2-4 if it was written on a chalkboard.
Yeah, it's interesting how this could pan out. And look, 2 key players not involved today. Alan for Beijing, not in the squad, and Osmar, who is absolutely been key to Seoul and been very, very lively for them. And one of the few that's probably come out looking fairly good in all their games so far. Not in the squad.
Not in the squad today, yeah. Oh well, we'll soon see how it goes.
Countdown here at the Jassim bin Hamad Stadium. Beijing FC up against FC Seoul. These teams have been playing games every 3 days. There will be tie legs out there, hence the number of changes, particularly for FC Seoul, but a lot of tinkering from coach Lee Won-jun. He's only been in the job 2.5 weeks, so it's not been easy for him so far. And this team have been indifferent, no doubt about it. So which Seoul side will turn up tonight? Traditionally not started these games particularly well. So they want a chance to keep their focus. Young-wook has been impressive. Puts the ball in and decides to let that go out for a corner. As I said, who survived the cull for FC Seoul.
It's busy on the edge of that penalty area, isn't it? There must be a dozen players in a very, very narrow space.
Taki will be keeping a close eye on that one. Flipped across inadvertently, perhaps, and it's the first shot through a sea of players, and Hauser saw that late. He's done well to turn it around the corner.
He has. That's going in the corner. That's a terrific strike. Really good technique, keeps it down nicely, hit across the ball to get a bit of swerve, and it was a good corner kick as well, well defended, but an interesting opening.
Right start here from Seoul as that's cleared away by Renato. Probably the best first couple of minutes we've seen from Seoul so far in this tournament. To be fair, they did play very, very well in their 5-0 hammering of Chiang Rai, but that was all very quickly undone just a couple of days later. They lost to the same side 2-1, which has been one of the stories of this Champions League matches. Away by Chun-hee. One gun. Does like to bomb forward and have the opportunity.
Yeah, he's been having a good tournament, hasn't he? He's been a lot of fun on this right-hand side. And Lille on the other side. It's funny how fullback is such an important position in the modern game.
Min. Skip, of course, that's pass from partner to Young, who's on the bench today. He's fairly decent tournament. A few goals scored. I'm sure we'll feature later on if they are behind. Jung Min trying to close down Hao-sen. Kwang-min. Got to say, they're playing in the front foot here, and it was very different the way they approached it with Beijing the first time.
Yes, indeed. All of the game has been played in the Beijing half, hasn't it, so far? I know we're only 4 minutes into it, but certainly FC Seoul really going for it from the outset. And that's good. That's good, again, because if your opponents don't really fancy it, then get amongst them early, get some goals, get the job done nice and quickly.
It's fallen to Vieira. Tong T-shirt. Can't quite hold on to it, but here's Vieira again, out wide to Wang Gun. Nice attack here from Beijing, straight to the grateful arms of Yang Hanbin. More baptism of fire for Lee Won-jun.
It has been, but actually, from the coach's point of view, being with the players 24 hours a day, as it were, for a period like this is great way to get to know everybody, create the spirit that you want, the atmosphere that you want among the players. I think all of the staff, the coaching staff, the players, they all really like a tournament. It's the most fun you can have.
Good interception of the ball. Shot straight at Hao-sen. Han Chun-hee is a key member of this side. Wasn't necessarily nailed down a starting place in the tournament so far, but when he's played, he has been effective. It's probably the most positive we've seen FC Seoul. They weren't necessarily this dominant in the early stages against Chiang Rai either, the game where they won 5-0. Although the situation has changed tremendously since then. Just to remind you, this isn't necessarily a must-win. They can still go through by winning their final game against Melbourne Victory. Why leave that to chance? Help it. Almost getting through there, wasn't it, Vieira?
It's a good win initially, you're quite right, and showing a nice appetite for the game. Beijing just beginning to get a hold of the ball. Once they've got it, I don't think they're going to give it back very easily.
Chu Tong-guo. Lika. Wide. Vieira. Lille. We've seen him come forward. He's high up. And Wang Gun, as we said, will be doing that as much as possible. Ti Tong-guo. From To Young Fun. Back by Koh Kwang Bin, and they are passing a little more than perhaps they did in previous matches. FC서울. This is Young Wook. So trying to take on players very quick down that right-hand side. Hyun Soo now joins the attack. Sick. Ball played across, and good work from Koh Kwang Bin. Jin Han Min couldn't get the ball back to him. Continue winning the ball back at the moment. Renato. Now Vieira. Back to this foreign import. Relay. Needs to be a better ball for Wang Tuming.
They do look as if they've got a rather more potent look about their attack, though, Beijing, than FC서울. FC서ul's nice, the approach play, and then they either run out of ideas or run out of options. Not sure that they've really got a cutting edge up front, let's say.
Yeah, Yoon Ju-tae, first time he's started as the number 9, as it were. It's normally Park Ju-young, isn't it? And Jun-tae's come off the bench. He's scored a couple of goals. I'm assuming, of course, Park Ju-young's now mid-30s. They're going to have to think about, and the games have come very intensely, haven't they, Jamie? Every 2-3 days, and so they've got to rotate. But yeah, Park Ju-young's got that experience. He's played in Europe as well, so that's some very good moments in this tournament. You can't play
with that awful penalty miss.
Yeah, oh, that was woeful, wasn't it? That penalty miss. Made up for it later. Wang Gang. Now Renato gone for goal. Took a bit of deflection along the way. It will be a corner.
Yeah, well, you don't want to give this guy any space. I think he's been outstanding. I'll be very surprised if he plays more than an hour in this game.
He's played a lot, hasn't he?
Well, he's played the whole game each time, and I mean, he really plays a game. He doesn't stroll through it. He does a tremendous amount of work.
It would have been a temptation to have rested him today. Not taken. Ideally, they probably just want to wrap it up today if they can. Zhang Jisho with that ball in.
Good ball in. Very good ball in.
Looking a bit frustrated that he didn't do better.
Because he gets up very well. He jumps early. That's so important. You jump early, but he's just not quite at his highest point when he connects with the ball there. Should have done better there, because it's a really good position. Going back to the issue of a rest for the players, which is better though, to rest a player for one whole game or to give him 2 half games where he's rested? I think players would rather have a half game rest, because they want to get out on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm sure Park Ju-young's chomping at the bit anyway.
Yeah,
sure. He's been in some scoring form. As I said earlier, probably will get a go anyway at some point. Young Fun. Now, Renato, they're just in front of him. Wanga. Gets across him, but it is blocked by Young Sun. Nice ball across from Tong Kuo. See what Vieira was trying to do, asked for the handball. Referee unmoved by that, but it's one back anyway by Beijing.
Setting into an ominous rhythm as far as FC Seoul are concerned.
Came off Kim Won-sik earlier, and quite a number of hands going up in appeal. Well, gun goes down the line. No one there, of course.
That's where he should be. At the moment, he's getting crosses in much too easily. I think they've got to close him down much more effectively.
Ko Kwang-min loves to get forward, the Seoul left back. But I've noticed that a lot of crosses have come down that left side. In fact, he was quite vulnerable. And Beijing were playing against him the last time. I recall they were attacking that right-hand side a lot. Down that right-hand side the first time these two sides played. That is a bizarre pass, to say the least. Has resulted in a corner. This was the handball appeal.
Well, it hits the arm, and the arm's away from the body there. And
Jamie, that, I mean,
as we say, we've seen them given.
Yeah.
I think if you're in the English Premier League and that goes to VAR, I think the referee gives that.
You can't have a complaint going by the rules.
No.
Having said that,
it doesn't look like handball.
But I was just going to say, going by the old rules, that should that be a handball? Yeah. No, we would have said no. But, you're so close in that instance, aren't you?
Yeah.
But who knows what a handball is these days, really? I know the rules are there. Now, Kim Won-sik. Was he going for the far post? Was he trying to go for goal? Something in between?
Yeah, again, again, look at the way he jumps so early.
Yeah.
Gets a good connection on it. I'm very disappointed he didn't either pick out a teammate or hit the target. He did a sort of halfway between the two.
Yeah. Well, there'll be chances at either end. Minutes gone here.
FC Seoul still got 5 players inside their opponent's half, so they're pressing much higher up the pitch.
That's a positive sign as far as they're concerned. But they have been a little bit vulnerable at times at the back, particularly on their left-hand side. Now goes towards Lille. Oh, and that could and probably should have been goal number 1, Renato.
Well, he's already scored a goal very much like that earlier in the tournament, hasn't he? And what a lovely ball pulled back, and I just assumed that was going to go in the net. It fell to exactly the right man. He gets a nice contact on the ball, and he can't believe it either. Okay, makes me feel better.
I thought that was going in as well. And actually, Jamie, every time they come forward, they look threatening, don't they, Beijing?
It's a worry, isn't it, for the Korean side? Because they don't look particularly dangerous when they come forward. As we said, they've had good position, but don't really look as if they're carving out chances.
They are missing a number of players through injury and COVID-related issues. Adriano, their striker, has been brought back to the club, and that experiment hasn't quite worked out for them. He's not around. Goyo Han's another key player. To be fair, Beijing missing their top striker Bakumbu as well. He was a international DT. stop them scoring as well. Might be some of the knockout rounds.
He's an unsung hero in this team, isn't he? Tang, you don't really notice him too much. He just does all the nasty little jobs that nobody really wants to do. Picking up the ball, picking up men, sweeping up. It's guys like him and Chi Tong Guo who allow Renato so much freedom.
Quite telling today, without the services of Osmar, this is an all-Korean side. Unusual at the Champions League level in this squad today. And if you look at Beijing, and they've got plenty of talent in there, plenty of national team players welded together with the. They've got the steal of Fernando as well. We haven't mentioned him. You talked about Chi and Zhang Jishe, who are great at doing the dirty work as well. Fernando does that as well. Yeah. He got the opening goal in this game. Yep. And the reverse fixture.
Yeah, he does excellent work.
And then you've got some great attacking players. We've seen someone display. Alan's not available today. Yu Dabao is another fantastic talent. Tang Yuning, brimming with talent in Beijing.
It's a good squad, isn't it? It's a deep squad.
Unfortunately, Seoul, nowhere near that in terms of the depth. Ko Kwang-min. Someone managed to keep that in. Nice ball played towards Ko Kwang-min, who's he should have probably been able to keep that in. The difference between the two, what I can see so far, Jamie, is when they come forward, Beijing, passing's quicker, isn't it? They're shifting the ball faster.
Yes, it is, and
it's a bit more ponderous with Seoul.
Beijing look very, very well coached. They look as if they understand what they need to do when they're going forward to create situations which will cause opportunities to score goals. Seoul, they're technically good on the ball, but as you say, ponderous. They sort of get forward and then think, well, now what are we going to do? And you can't. That's too late.
Yeah, Genesio has been with the team for a year and a half. Wasn't happy with that, Vieira. Trying to stay on his feet, didn't he?
He did try and stay on his feet. I wasn't sure there was that much contact and whether it was a deliberate foul. Opponents can't get out of the way. If you run into them, then you'll fall over.
Again, good work from Vieira. This time he does get the free kick.
Good refereeing again, wasn't it there? Just waited to see if there was an advantage as the ball found its way through to Renato. But no advantage there, so what a lovely position for a free kick. I think a right footer. You got the two options: over the top of the wall to the near post, round the wall to the far post. You have got a goalkeeper who stands not that far short of 2 meters tall, so he should be able to cover, but I fancy this guy on the ball.
Yeah, it's Vieira at the moment. Zhang Jishe's next to him.
Put the extra 2 players in front of the wall, so it's harder for the goalkeeper to see. And so often he will step to his left just as the striker is about to
kind of hedges bets a bit,
just to check. And if his weight goes to the left, very difficult to get to the right.
Oh, he's got it in anyway.
He should have stepped to the left.
He decided not to listen to Jamie Reeves. And Young Han Bin, I think when he looks back at this, he might be a little bit disappointed. But the goal, let's not take credit away from Jonathan Vieira.
If anything, he took a little hop to the right, does he? His weight just goes to the right, and it makes it harder to push across to the left. Oh my word! What a bad error. That's a bad goal for the goalkeeper to give away.
Bounced in front of him, and Jamie, that little step makes all the difference, doesn't it?
It's a question of where your weight is, because if your weight's evenly balanced, then you can spring across. But if your weight's moving in one direction, however hard you try, you can't go full length the other way. And full length is a long way in his case.
Absolutely.
Well, we said it was a really nice position to have a free kick in, but I didn't think it would be as easy as that to score.
Well, Lee Wong-jun has not decided who his number one is in this team. It's been a couple of matches each now for Yoo Sung-hoon, who's wearing the number one, by the way, on his back, and the man who's between the sticks today, that's Young Han Bin. And that might be part of the problem, Jamie, that if you can't, in a tournament like this, keeper's probably the last position that you're going to be rotating a lot in, isn't it?
I would, if it was me, I would pick my best goalkeeper and stick with him, but we've seen this before. England famously did it with their goalkeepers.
The problem we have is, even during the domestic league, both Yoo Sung-hoon and Young Han Bin played pretty much the same number of games. Not much of a difference between the two. So it's been a problem throughout the season.
Yep. And I think goalkeepers in particular, you pick your best goalkeeper and you stick with him. If he falls out of favour, if you lose confidence in him, then you bring someone else in, you stick with him.
Yeah, during a tournament, it was a bit strange, that one. But that's the situation now. Seoul down here against Beijing. Ko Kwang-min.
It's well defended there. Really good defensive work.
Tung Ji-she has done well. Very comfortable, don't they, Beijing?
They're looking like a very smooth, well-oiled machine at the moment. They've got a goal up, and they've looked more dangerous without really overextending themselves. Third gear.
Tell you what, the other side's involved in this group, as we see. Renato play Wang-gung almost in. Kwang-min finally scrambles that clear. A very moment for the left back of FC Seoul. One sick. Jung Han Min has just gone across to this right hand side. It's like he's swapped with Young Wook. Kwang Min. There is Young Wook now on the left hand side. One sick.
Good defensive shape for Beijing. It looks ponderous for the attacking team. Let's give credit to the defence.
Showing work. Just, I think you mentioned earlier, just bereft of options or ideas.
If the defence is well constructed.
We talked about Kwang Min much better going forward. It's a beautiful ball. It's exactly where you want it, just at the top of that
on the 6-yard line.
Brilliant.
Perfect position for the cross. And you do need your striker to be attacking the ball, really busting the gut to get on the end of it.
I was just going to go back to the point I was making earlier, Jamie, where the two teams involved in this group, the other team, just we see Beijing come forward, Lee Ke. Now Vieira. Here's Renato. Worth a shot perhaps. Tang Zisha. But as we see another replay of his effort, which was never going to trouble anyone. Melbourne and Chiang Rai looking at this and thinking, hey, we're playing each other tonight. 3 points at stake. We've got a real shot at this. We really do.
Yeah.
Melbourne will also have seen how vulnerable Seoul have been. Not just today, of course, but against Chiang Rai, who were thought to be the whipping boys of the side, and that proved to be the case at the 5-0.
And Chiang Rai's last game is against a Beijing side who, in all probability, will have qualified top of the group.
Absolutely. With the way things are going right now, yes.
If they're 15 points after tonight, then they have literally got nothing to play for in their last game. Mind you, the sort of quality that they've got, they could probably still be too strong. But I think at that stage there is no reason not to blood a whole slew of players.
Yeah. It makes sense to kind of go stronger today, finish it off,
yes,
and then rest in the last day, doesn't it?
Yep. And stress that last game is inconsequential for them, and make sure that everybody who's gone to the tournament gets a game.
Yeah.
Having enthused about tournament football, if you go along and you're doing all the training and all you're doing is sitting on the sidelines, that's not a lot of fun.
Young Fan to Yu Yang.
Such a nice looking pattern that they play. The two central defenders, they're not going anywhere. They split, and the two defensive midfielders, Zhang Guo and Zitia, they slide in between them a little bit so that they keep their shape. The fullbacks have got license to roam, and of course Renato has got completely free hand. Yeah, I think the instructions to Renato is just go out there and enjoy yourself. Go wherever you feel is appropriate.
That sounds almost like a Harry Redknapp type of coaching, doesn't it? Go out there, run around and do your thing. But there are the players like that you can say that to and want that license, don't they?
Yeah. Well, the guy that we're all mourning this week was a lot like that. You never had to tell Maradona what to do.
Yeah, he would just do whatever grabbed his fancy. They need a bit of Maradona magic at the moment now, FC Seoul. They are...
Heads are down, aren't they, here?
Body language, you can tell. Wontek has got the ball back here. Feeds that across to Kwang Min. Put a great cross in a couple of minutes ago. Will he do something similar here? Different type of ball in towards Yu Jute, who's now just gone to ground. Now could they be stretched here? FC Seoul, look at that run. Oh, lovely ball, a nutmeg. Renato. A couple of chances for him to have scored today.
Absolutely, and didn't he bust a gut to get into that position as well? He was involved in the move early on, a clever little slip ball, and then saw where the space was, overlapped his teammate. Didn't work out for him in the end, but gosh, he's working his passage again. Must be a delight to work with for Bruno Genesio.
He saw a teammate at the other end, didn't he? He was trying to pass that at the end, rather than go for goal.
Yeah.
He is looking very dangerous, Renato Vieira as well. So impressive. And you'd venture another goal or two, and those players probably they start to think, well, you've done your bit now. A bit of a break.
Oh yeah, I think if these important guys for them can play a half or even an hour of the football, they'll have enjoyed themselves, they'll have kept the rhythm going and hopefully avoided any risk of injury.
We'll have a national in your ranks. National in your ranks. Renato Augusto, long time at Bayer Leverkusen, Corinthians. He's a model of stability with only 4 clubs to his name. Aging once in 4 years.
Quite revealing, that,
right, isn't it?
Some of these players that we look up before we come in, you know, they've had more clubs than Jack Nicklaus. But the best players, clubs don't sell the best players.
They're coming a little across than that as we come forward and looking dangerous. Oh, that's a stinging saved by the keeper. A bit more like it.
That was much more like FC서울. It was much useful, direct, and it's a decent enough strike. It's quite a nice height for a goalkeeper.
He, another one who has had some good moments in this tournament with that shot. Now, Leek has just gone down here. I don't think there was much contact prior to that, which is a concern. What to do here to turn this around, even though it's just the 1 goal.
Still hard to think of him as Lee Kerr, given that he had 10 age group caps for England. He was born in Leytonstone, which is about 20 miles from where I come from. Arsenal Academy, 144 appearances for Brentford, and a very important part of this team from the capital of China. He's come a long way. Yeah, Cypriot father, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I think unlike a lot of the naturalised players, he's actually of Chinese heritage.
Chinese mother.
On his mother's side. But it's a long way from being on loan at Notts County in 2012. Now playing for one of the biggest clubs in China and being an international as well. Ko Kwang-min, Young Wook. Better here, Hung-min, or Han-chi, sorry. Just suddenly stepped up a bit.
Yep.
Vieira that's perhaps one thing that Beijing will just want to be wary of, is being a little overconfident. They were perhaps guilty of that in the first game. And these two sides played, and credit to Seoul, they came back quite strongly.
Yeah, that's painful. The modern lightweight boots, tread on your toes, really hurts.
So Lee Kerr makes way to that injury for Liu Peng. Has that gone out for a corner? I think it has. Man in. Liu Peng is 31. He's had some China caps to his name. Got something on that. Hwang Kyun-soo.
Again, that wasn't the worst opportunity. One getting up for that quite effectively. Of course, Beijing have changed their two central defenders tonight. The two that have been replaced are both monsters. One known as the Monster, the other one, Yu Dabao, just happens to be a monster.
It's huge, isn't it, Yu Dabao? There is a Korean beast as well, except he's not playing for FC Seoul. He's in the ranks of Beijing. He's on the bench today. He's played every minute of this tournament so far, and he's finally been given a rest.
That's good forward play. That wasn't easy work at all there. Suitably apologetic there, but it was a wrestling move.
Oh, that's a good ball. Where Renato is. Just behind Vieira. Gets the ball back from Zhang Jishe. He's scooped that out. Gets him in. Can't quite get to it.
It was a nice bit of invention, didn't quite come off. Just with the outside of the boot as well, it wasn't far off.
There's Vieira.
This guy just gets on the ball all the time, doesn't he?
Just about to say, it's just attracted to him, isn't it? It's everywhere.
And that's a great skill in itself. That doesn't happen by accident. And it's not just that his teammates are looking for him. He keeps finding pockets of space. And he's the obvious man to give the ball to. He's done a lot of his work out on that left flank, but we've seen him come over on the right-hand side, pop up through the middle, obviously.
Again, here he is. Couldn't get to it, but it was the right run. Yeah, Hwang Kyun-soo and Kim Won-gun, Cha Oh-hyun, the three that have had to keep a very close eye on him. He likes to start on the left, drift in. Still got the pass away. Won-gun.
Ball retention there. They couldn't actually carve out an opportunity, so don't give the ball away and try something silly. Go back where you started from, draw out your opponents, see if you can find some space behind them.
From Kwon Min. From Wongun. His final few minutes of the first half. Wongun gets the cross in anyway. That's a brilliant finish. And who else but Renato, who's deserved a goal, and he's left it to score in some style.
Well, I feel a bit like a cracked record keep going on about what a good player this fella is. Well, and Wongun, he goes for the nutmeg. The ball's sitting there. He goes, oh, this is a nice position to cross from. And lovely piece of skill from the best player on the pitch. Pick that one out.
Well, Wongun had far too much time to get on the ball. And Renato had enough time to set himself up. But what a finish that is. Spectacular from the Brazilian.
And remember, it's a game that they enjoy doing this, these guys. He just looks as if he's had a great 43 minutes there, and that's just put the icing on the cake for him.
Caps it off, and the just reward for that will be thanks a lot. You can take a break now. We'll see. But he has been superb. And Jamie, even without that first goal, they've been strolling this, haven't they?
It's looked very comfortable for them. FC Seoul have enjoyed a fair amount of possession without really looking terribly dangerous. Beijing, as you said it on the commentary earlier, every time Beijing go forward, they look as if they could create a good goal-scoring opportunity. They're good down both flanks. Wongun is having another good game. He's not doing as much of it as he normally does, but enjoying himself. Lille gets down the other side. They've got Renato, who makes himself available all over the place and makes things happen. Vieira has interesting, clever little things with the ball. It's a good football team.
Here's Wongun in. He's got Wongun on the outside. It's just offside. We just go back to that goal, Jamie, and Wongun, he shouldn't have got to that ball. Everyone seemed to switch off and
they
ball
all
watch.
stopped, didn't they? He went for the nutmeg, which didn't work, and the ball sat there, and for a moment it was like they'd frozen, and he reacted quicker, and of course he was coming towards it at exactly the right angle that you'd want to cross the ball. It was just inviting a cross there.
It's great cross,
he wasn't going to turn that down, that invitation.
Brilliant ball into goal scorer Renato, just a minute about a time, and FC Seoul. It's going to be a lot of work, as we said, for Lee Won-jun now to try and turn this around. They did come out with purpose in the previous time they played Beijing. They've had their bright moments, but Jamie, this has just been that kind of tournament for them, and that was almost last gasp, wasn't it? From Jung Young-sun. Here's Kwon Min. Well, that probably just sums up things for FC Seoul. Just not switched on. Looking right across that line, aren't you?
Yeah, and oh well, they in the dressing room. Lee Won-jun will be a magician if he can turn this round in the second half.
So a bit of magic there, Brazilian magic from Renato, the second goal after the other foreign import in the side, Jonathan Vieira, opened the scoring. They have really been superb going forward, Beijing FC. Seoul, poor at the back at times, have had their moments, but very quickly, Jamie Reeves, they've got a lot of work to do, don't they?
It's an extraordinary job to be done. I think this fella, Janasa, Genesio will be very happy at half-time. Wonjun will not be happy. But I can't see any way back for the men in the black and white.
Thanks very much, Jamie Reeves. And right now, Beijing very much in control here. The halftime score, the Jassan bin Hamad Stadium in this AFC Champions League match. It's Beijing FC 2, FC Seoul 0.
Shazad Haq and Jamie Reeves with the commentary there as Beijing FC look to extend their record to 5 straight wins in the Champions League. So far, so good. It's going according to plan. They take a 2-0 lead into the break against FC Seoul. We'll bring the highlights from both games after the break.
When they are confident, they can excel. Man-Deep deodorant helps to keep you fresh from sweat and odor, so that you can be confident all day long. You and your team can create iconic moments together. Now stand a chance to win prizes worth 10,000 ringgit to create your iconic moments.
I've spent 9 years behind these walls, in this cell, for a crime I didn't commit. You tore my family apart.
I'm gonna need you. Your grandson is gonna need you too.
Cost me my friends.
I can't do this without you, Joe. You're my only friend here.
Becoming a lawyer helped set me free.
Mr. Wallace deserves an opportunity to present his defense before a new jury.
Now I'll free others wrongly accused.
Don't forget, I'm home.
You showed the world they were wrong and you were right. You can't back down now.
I'm home. I'm getting you out of here too. I'm your lawyer now. And now the real fight begins.
The new season of For Life, Thursdays at 9:50 p.m., same day as the U.S. on Fox.
This is Dan Thomas.
Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC.
There's no way. And together with his crew, they leave no stones unturned.
Very hot. Top class analysis for you.
Get your dose of daily football musings from all around the world.
Have to build on world-class talent. Aubameyang is exactly that.
Praise for being 30-odd points off the lead? I don't think so.
ESPN FC on Fox Sports.
Jurgen Klopp has already secured his place in the Liverpool history books by grabbing glory on the European and domestic stages. Now, with a superb squad and a formidable front line, you'd expect him to carry on winning. But the pandemic has limited their finances, even if rivals have been able to spend big. So, can he and they go again and win again, and in so doing, set up a new Liverpool footballing dynasty? That's one of the topics we'll be following on The John Dyke Show.
Oh, that was a chance there, and Bill rifles it into the roof of the net.
Iannucci lines up a shot, it's deflected and it's in! Melbourne Victory aren't out of this.
Oh, two absolutely crucial matches coming up later today. But how about this one? It's Chiang Rai United, the Thai League champions from last season, up against Melbourne Victory. It's a fight for survival in Group E, and that's coming up later on Fox Sports. Join us from 8:50 p.m. in the Hong Kong time zone for that. So it's half-time in the two matches going on in the AFC Champions League at the moment in Group E, It's Beijing FC 2, FC Seoul 0. The Korean side with a lot of work to do in the second half. And in the Group F match, it is evenly poised. FC Tokyo 1, Ulsan Hyundai FC 1. Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. We're back on Fox Sports Live with John Wilkinson and Simon McManamy, who joins us from Jakarta in Indonesia. And I know you've been watching that first half of that match between FC Seoul and Beijing FC very quickly. Your thoughts on that, Simon?
I thought Seoul started very brightly. They came out and got 2 shots on target within the first couple of minutes of the game. They looked to play a little bit higher up the pitch. But I think as they kind of slowed down, Beijing came back into it. And the difference we see is not having the influential foreigners on the Seoul side. You know, you've got 2 guys who are really dictating this game, who have both scored goals, both scored great goals. And everything good that Beijing does comes through them. I mean, what I like here is the little 2 guys in front of the wall here. They duck very low, which makes it doubly difficult for the goalkeeper to see the flight of the ball. It's very difficult for him. And he makes a hash of it. He doesn't get a hand to it. He goes for 2 hands. It bounces right in front of him, which is always very difficult. But he's able to keep it so low, and the goalkeeper can't see the flight of the ball at all. It's a well-worked free kick. There's thought that's gone into that.
And this is the second goal by Beijing. Came from Renato Augusto in the 43rd minute. Wonderful delivery, but that goal, John.
Yeah. Oh, it's a beautiful finish. I mean, it's good work on the right side by Wang Kang. I mean, we know already what an athlete he is. Look at him. Gets his hand out, picks out a pinpoint cross. Only one player to hit. He actually doesn't need to finish it that emphatically. But my goodness, he finishes it with style. Wonderful style. Good celebrations as well. You can tell that he's really enjoying his football. Yeah. And as Simon said, the import players are key. Vieira, Augusto. I don't think anyone's had as many touches as a ball as Renato Augusto. Yeah. He's absolutely everywhere.
And he's played so much football here in Qatar. He's started every match. He's played the full 90 minutes. I wonder if he'll be taken off in the second half at some stage to be rested. But you talk about the foreign players. Now, the Chinese players themselves, they've had a couple of chances. Wang Ziming, especially this one in the 11th minute. His header here, just off target. He'd be disappointed with that, wouldn't he, Simon?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult chance. It's a standing jump as well. It's not like he's been able to attack the ball. Right. If you look at how the cross comes in, it's right on his head, so he has to stand and put the power into it. Now, that's always difficult. Much easier to attack a ball than to stand and jump and beat defenders. Good opportunity, but a difficult one.
Beijing going forward again here in the 16th minute to have a look at this. Augusto, John, yes. He would be really disappointed. He
would be, yeah. Opens his hips a little bit too much there. He's the one player you wanted it to drop to, though. It's coming at him quickly. There's a bit of a skip on the ball as well, though.
39th minute. So we've got Wang Ziming again. That was a lovely little delivery by Vieira, though.
It is arguably a little bit unnecessary. He maybe put a little through ball in, but listen, when you're enjoying it and you're playing well and you're confident, why not?
Okay, we want to stick to this Beijing forward attack, and it's all about their forward attack. I mean, you look at the players they have as well. They're a very attack-minded side, but you've noticed that their tempo is quick. They never take their foot off the pedal.
Well, this is the intent. It really is. I think Beijing can only play one way. I don't think they're a side that can actually measure games. Don't need to, as long as they can keep the energy in their players. But inside the first 12 minutes, this is what they're great at. You know, FC Seoul have had a few opportunities, but look at this. Renato Augusto, when they attack with intent, and they're very quick to get the ball into wide areas, which is always going to draw some gaps around for the defenders because they've got to go out to the fullback areas and engage the green shirts. The ball comes in as well. They're looking for those quick near-post crosses. And once again, they're playing around corners, and once they get the ball into the wide areas, then they get some green shirts in there. And I've just got to highlight how the amount of green shirts that are desperate to get towards the near post, they really do favour that type of cross. Doesn't work out for them brilliantly here, but they regurgitate the ball, keep it alive. But what I really want to look at, once this ball goes in and they lose it, just have a look at the attitude it is. Jonathan Vieira calls for a penalty. Good shout, I think. Now, just quickly, watch where he ends up to try and win the ball. And they do win it back. And that's the main difference. Yeah, there's quality when they get in possession of the ball. There really is. And that will always help. But you've got Seoul players that don't match them for intensity. And if you're not as good as the players you're playing against, at least match them for sweat.
Yeah, so a lot of hard work for FC Seoul coming up in the second half. It's all going rather well for Beijing FC. What about the other match over at the Education City Stadium? Well, this one is from Group F. It's FC Tokyo against Ulsan Hyundai. And very early on, FC Tokyo, they would take the lead through Kensuke Nagai. Excellent shot. That's his first goal of the AFC Champions League competition for the 31-year-old. But Ulsan would level up with Yoonbit Garam 1-1 at half-time, and that's how it stands. We're just minutes away to the second half here on the Fox Sports Network. This is how it stands. Beijing 2, FC Seoul 0, FC Tokyo 1, Ulsan 1. We'll be right back with the second half.
Now the game is on. 25,000 here to watch a famous occasion. Great chance to score here. Buries it into the goal. Brilliant. Unbelievable. And Sultan Indian Stadium explodes with joy. Oh, what drama.
It's exactly what they were looking for.
We're the champions of Asia. Absolutely top class.
This December on National Geographic Network. We wrap up the year with a search of the most cursed places on Earth.
There's definitely something out here with us.
Uncover a season of frozen magic and striking majesty. Discover the perfect snow-covered Christmas cabins with George Clark. All new this December on National Geographic Network.
I've spent 9 years behind these walls. In this cell for a crime I didn't commit. I tore my family apart.
I'm gonna need you. Your grandson is gonna need you too.
Caused by my friends.
I can't do this without you. You're my only friend here.
Becoming a lawyer helped set me free.
Mr. Wallace deserves an opportunity to present his defense before a new jury.
Now I'll free others, wrongly accused.
Don't forget, I won't.
You showed the world they were wrong and you were right. Can't back down now.
Get you out of here too. And now the real fight begins.
The new season of For Life, Thursdays at 9:50 p.m. Same day as the U.S. on Fox.
Beijing FC up against FC Seoul. I just wonder whether the word masterclass at the moment is a little over the top, but we have thoroughly enjoyed the way Beijing have carried things on in the first half and how they've approached the game. It's again, they didn't even necessarily need to win, of course, want to wrap it up as soon as possible, but they have been absolutely superb on their journey.
Yep, superbly professional. They've been creative. They've looked dangerous whenever they've come forward, and they've come forward quite frequently. Defensively, they've changed to two central defenders, yet despite that, they've given away too many chances, or even half chances. And you have to say, Bruno Genesio will be delighted with the way those first 45. In fact, if he could have restricted that first 45 minutes, it would have looked a lot more. That's perfect. Now in the second half, key players, particularly Renato, will be given a bit of a break. He will have enjoyed his 45 minutes. He won't mind coming off. there's bigger games around the corner, but a great evening for Beijing thus far.
You know when you've got these players who just want to play and don't want to come off the pitch, and actually probably sometimes even in the 85th minute, like, oh, I don't. He almost strikes me as that kind of guy. He's hungry, isn't he?
Well, Wayne Rooney was very much like that. You knew if Wayne Rooney wasn't playing football in the Saturday afternoon, he'd probably find a bunch of kids in the local park and kick the ball around with him. And Renato looks a lot like that. He just wants to play. Several times he was popping up in positions you thought, well, wow, why is he getting himself there? But he just wants to get involved as often as possible.
There is a reaction to perhaps what has gone on, and Hwang Kyun-soo has been replaced by Young Yoo-min, and Cho Young-wook, who was very bright in previous games, has been replaced by Kwang Sun-yoon. Fernando is also going to come on. Well, Han Seung-gyu is another attacker who's had some very good moments, replacing Han Chan-hee. That's 3 changes for FC Seoul. Fernando comes on for Zhang Zhishe. We just try and get all these changes put together, and well, they've got to go for it. I mean, we've talked a lot about Seoul, but sorry, on Beijing, but Seoul have to do a massive turnaround here, don't they?
Well, they've got to go for it. Given that the other 2 teams in this group, you know, they could still qualify anyway, even if they lose tonight. So they might as well go for it. And I just don't think they've got the ability in the team. I just don't think they're as good a football team as Beijing.
Yeah, must stress once again that despite all this, they still have a chance of getting through in the final game of the group stages, FC Seoul. But I'm just reading comments online. Football experts said actually they should make it through in this group, but they shouldn't. But will they get much further in the tournament?
I think that's very debatable.
Yeah.
But in their last game against Melbourne, they should be able to beat the Aussie team, which obviously, like all of the Aussie teams, are quite underprepared for this tournament, as they're only in pre-season back home.
They're really up against it here, and then foul. Fernando has to stop.
I think it's the injury, isn't it? Yeah. Referees are obliged, quite rightly so, to stop play if there's a head injury.
And of course, the big news overnight: Raul Jimenez with a serious injury for Wolverhampton Wanderers of the fractured skull against Arsenal, and we wish him well. There's already talk about head injury assessments and how things should be done going forward. It's always very reactive, these things. This one is obviously nowhere near as serious, but you can't take chances with the head.
You can't at all, and absolutely rightly so. And there's all this concern about players who head the ball too much. Will they get problems with dementia and so on? So clearly, referees should stop play if there's a head injury, because the player's well-being has to take priority.
So a little bit of a shuffle then for FC Seoul, bringing 3 players on. Young Yoo-min, Kwang Sun-yoon, and Han Seung-gyu, who's been very good overall, I think, for FC Seoul. He's on loan from Jeonbuk, and there's many fans asking for him to make that move permanent. It's a yellow card as well, by the way, for Kim Won-gun.
It's a very, very clumsy challenge. Can't really be too upset about the yellow card.
Fernando, who scored the opening goal in the reverse fixture. Here he is now. That's space on the left-hand side, and it comes to Vieira outside his boot, and that's almost in, cleared off the line. And Chi Tong-Kwo would have been in dreamland there, scoring a goal.
Yes, that's not what he's out there for, but the arrival of Fernando hasn't weakened them too much, has it?
Him on now. Good little battle there, Wang Gang with a foul on Kwong Sun-yoon.
Good commitment from Wang Gang trying to get there, trying to win the ball, but should have had enough sense to just stop himself and not clatter into the back of his man. So close, wasn't it, to goal number 3.
So close, yeah, absolutely. And cleared away. The new man in, Young New Min. Free kick here to be taken by the new man in, Hang Seung-gu. Get some of that fake crowd noise, as it were, piped in. It's been Beijing have been very rhythmic and playing beautifully at the moment. One sick. So been dispossessed. Relay. Oh no, actually, so he jabbed the ground there.
I think he might have twisted his knee or ankle a little bit as he did that as well. Looked a bit discomforted.
Notice that at the start of both halves, Seoul tried to press, and then the press almost fades away, doesn't it, as we go along.
Well, sometimes, of course, that's the players have got the coach's instructions ringing in their ears at the start of the half, and then as the half wears on, they kind of forget it. Could be fitness as well.
Jute. The shot from Seung-gu is blocked by Young Fun. No, tidies up here, Fernando. By Renato. He's looking in wonderment. There's no question really of foul, is there? It's a permanent job. He's got a lot of work to do for next season.
Yes, he has, and I'm not sure he's got the greatest resources to work with here.
Good. Reminder that Liu Peng had to come on in the first half for Lee Kerr. 2 changes made for Beijing, 3 for Seoul. We'll go up to 5, of course. Fernando. Lovely touch on from Renato. Wang Wanga steaming forward here, looking at his options. Play to Renato. Well, that seemed to be easier than the one he scored. Balloons head over.
Yeah, it's a poor finish, and this fella Wanga, great energy, intelligent pullback, doesn't just whack it over and hope someone will get on the end, picks a man out, and well, there you go, that's what Genesio thinks about it. Should have done better.
Doesn't want to do the simple ones, does he? Saving it for the spectacular. And,
actually, those balls coming across, it doesn't look that difficult, but it's actually quite difficult to get a good strike and keep the ball down.
Don't take a bobble.
We'll never know.
We'll know. Teasing us for that one. Young's son has gone down.
It was tamping the ground down there to... we've all done that. Look down at the ground, still quizzitively. Quizzically, I should say.
Now Seoul come forward. It does well against Jung Han Min. Touched on to Kwang Min. For himself, that's not going to trouble Ho-Sen.
He'd be delighted through the shot like that. Nice easy work for him. Keeps him engaged in the game.
Get to that.
Unlucky. It was a terrific ball attempted there.
Great ball out from the keeper Han Bin. Tong-Guo, put his pressure early on that attack, was cleared off the line. Beijing Guan. Now Vieira gets past a couple. Solid work indeed from Yu Young. He's been very, very good, hasn't he?
One going up. I bet he wins all the foot races when they're training. He looks a wonderful athlete.
Also, Jamie's huge, isn't he, for a fullback? He's almost 190.
That's not huge, isn't it?
It must be. You don't see many of that size, that flashes past the post. Marcos Alonso, of course, from Chelsea, is one that comes to mind, but fullbacks aren't generally that high, are they?
No. You tend to think that they're going to be slightly smaller so they can change direction a bit quicker, but he's a super athlete and a lovely crosser of the ball.
Didn't have any conviction in that shot with Chute. No. Nothing wrong with this one, Jamie?
No. Goes to ground. We always caution players against going to ground, but he knew he was going to win that ball. Wang Ziming took out there, and I would have thought that the striker would be another candidate to be taken off after a while. He's done a lot of hard work.
Nice touch. Gives it away to Won-Sik. Kwang Min has come onto this right-hand side of this half.
No sign that the men in green are easing off at all, is there? They're chasing around all over the place, making challenges. Look as if they're trying to score more goals.
Lupo. Yeah, the intensity's right there, isn't it? They're not letting up. Tell you what, Jamie, they are looking like it's one of the sides you've got to fancy for the title.
I would think there's a very good case to be made that they can go very deep into this tournament.
Pulling together Sun Yun and Wong Min, who gets a booking for that.
It's a late challenge, wasn't it? He's looking very tired, isn't he? We just said that a few minutes ago, that he might be given a bit of a rest. Ooh. Actually, he was nowhere near the ball, was he? I think he's anticipated the ball was going to run onto that position. Bad challenge. Deserved a card.
Can't clear their lines here. Finally, it's Renato who does that. Vieira's done brilliantly, really well. And he sets Chitongguo off. It's 3 against 1, maybe now 2. Can he finish off here? Vieira, it's going to be Fernando. Why on earth did Vieira not shoot?
Too many options there, that was the problem. So many men to pick out, and a disappointing finish, really.
Surely would have been game over the way this match has panned out. They've got the third.
How quickly they get back, though, as well. 7 men back there immediately. Back 4 are all in a line.
One minute here to one sick. They were lining up, weren't they, for that opportunity, Beijing. Young Sun. Seung-gu. Well, I bet that other side does cover a lot of ground as well, Seung-gu. An hour gone here. Beijing very comfortable. 2-0 up. Could have been 3 just now. Actually, the number of chances they had could have been 4 or 5, really.
Yeah, look at that. It's 3-on-1 at one stage there. Not Fernando's greatest strength. He brings other qualities to the game.
That's what. Well, up towards Wong Min. Actually, that was quite a nice first touch, wasn't it? But came up against Kwang Min. Ball forward by Kwang Sung-yun, and it's offside.
A bit unlucky with the run there. He is offside. Good decision. There wasn't much in it.
Lee In-yu replaces Han Min. In-yu came on as a substitute in previous games, and he's had quite an impact. He might start today. They've 4 of their changes now. FC Seoul. Very, very bright in the games that he has featured in. Not getting down as regular players, the 20-year-old who's a under-20 international. Carl and Fernando. Here's Renato.
it's a super ball knocked in. Well, I think Wang Ziming probably should have got something on that. Lovely reverse pass from Renato, inevitably.
Second half, Fernando to Vieira. Nazi Tonguo. That was late from Vieira.
Protests his innocence, clearly guilty.
Sung-Yu. This is Hyun-Soo. Chang Hyun hasn't really been too prominent in this game. Time for a double change here by Beijing.
Renato stayed 5 minutes longer than we expected him to.
What a fantastic match and tournament he has had so far. Spectacular goal from him. Gang has also worked extremely hard. Very impressive. Superb from the Brazilian.
Both substitutions are like for like, so no change to the way that they're going to be lining up.
Taeyeon, 31-year-old fullback. I think Yoon Young-sun is done because that's the second time he's gone down in this half. That's a real problem. They've got one more change though. Would have at least looked to try and bring on Park Chu-young at some point. Lee Sung-jae is another striker. Whether they'll rejig things and still try to accommodate forward. Does not look comfortable. No, they're going to bring in Kim Jin-sung, who has been quite regular with this side in the tournament. Will replace Yoon Young-sun. Some lively moments. Kim Jin-sung. And that is it. It's down to these 11 players to try and turn this match around now for FC Seoul. That's come on is Badun, 25-year-old, former 23 international. Or Renato, big shoes to fill. Fernando. Vieira. Kwang Min gives the ball away cheaply to Liu Peng. Now Lille. Flicks all coming out now. Vieira.
Very easy on the eye, the work of the men in green. Really nice football. Shifting the ball around very, very well. I don't know how many passes there are in this move. Must be, well, it's gone out of play now, but must have been 15, 20 passes, all first time.
right-hand side, Kwang Yoo-min. Lee Ying-gyu's had just a little bit of space here to wriggle, and he's done it a couple of times. I had the other shot that tested the keeper.
And they didn't dare to make the challenge at this stage in case they gave away the penalty, and if he could have got it across to his left foot, that was the more natural one from that position.
Tell you what, this new look attack has created more problem than the old one did.
I think you're right.
Not there for 20 minutes left. A draw would actually come in pretty handy. Seoul would also mean, by the way, it draws enough for Beijing to qualify top of the group.
I think if they end up with just 1 point from tonight, Beijing are going to be really disappointed.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to be as optimistic as I can for FC Seoul, but it isn't looking good, let's be honest. They have been under par again. A side that absolutely hammered and looked brilliant against Chiang Rai, only to be outplayed 3 days later. And that seems to have carried on. In today's game.
A few tired bodies out there. Lille looks as if he's really shattered, doesn't he, the left fullback? He always does have a slightly languid look, apart from when he's galloping down the touchline.
There's Kwang Min. Hyun Seung-gyu. Still alive here, Ju-tae. There's some new vigour about this side now, FC Seoul. One sick. Back to Kwang Min. Ju-tae. Well, they've won it back here. Jonathan Vieira, 3 against 2. Still Vieira. Chi Tung-kwoo, back to Vieira. And that, in the end, is a pretty handy save from the goalkeeper. Again, too much time?
Well, he didn't have too many options this time, although there were several options on. Just played that ball a little bit behind Jonathan Vieira. And on another occasion, they would be, I think Bruno Genesio would be upset about them spurning so many good opportunities.
Here's Vieira and Fernando. Just slip that in for Wang Ta-min. Still alive here, Hang Seung-gyu. Lee Ying-gyu now. Now Han. Ying-gyu. Yank back from Vieira. Foul. Players crowding around, and Ju-tae says that might have taken a bit of a deflection. It will be a goal kick.
I think he appealed more in hope than expectation there. Scruffy looking attempted shot. But they're being very game, they're keeping going, and they're certainly creating half chances. FC Seoul.
Kwang-min. Been relatively easy to deal with for Young Fan. Seung-gyu wouldn't just drop Jute. Here's Vieira. Just behind Wang Tamin. Now Ti Tong-guo. Still on the live wire. Looks like it's one final change. Not bad to be able to bring on Tung Yuning for Wang Tamin. He's had a few chances to score today. It was the right young thing not too long ago. Still only 23, of course. Instead at Vitesse Arnhem. Was with West Brom, never played for them, and then Werder Bremen, Den Haag in a short spell. International since 2016, but hasn't necessarily kicked on yet.
He's got about 50 age group caps altogether. He was very much a wunderkind coming through. I think Zeming will be probably a bit disappointed not to have got on the score sheet. It's nice when the team wins, but it's always a lot sweeter as a striker if you've managed to get on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, with those chances you talked about, and generally with Beijing, if there was any criticism to be level, and that would be harsh, and I suppose you could say they haven't been clinical. And I think, given all the opportunities they've had, they haven't had massive wins, have they, in this competition?
No, you're right. I'm not sure that they've really got a natural goal scorer, you know, someone who is just going to hang around in the penalty area and finish things off for them. They're relying on spreading the goals around a little bit. And certainly in this second half, they've had 2 or 3 situations where you think, you know what, you should be scoring from here. But the fact that their level of intensity has dropped a little bit in the second half is understandable.
Yeah. There will be bigger tests ahead for Beijing. They now surely will finish top of this group. First in Group E, plays second in Group F. Don't want to get ahead of myself, but there are only 12 minutes left in this game, just from the way that Seoul have been playing. We shall assume for now.
So it will likely be FC Tokyo or Shanghai Shenhua.
Yeah, and
that's not easy.
So the Tokyo are in action at the moment against Ulsan. Ball comes across here. Badun. Vieira.
It was a nearly ball. It was the right idea, and it found his man, but just didn't quite work.
serve there from Kwang Min. And a few shots from the bench more than on the field. Relay clears. Into Vieira.
Good footballing team, aren't they, Beijing? Confidence with which they're pushing the ball around is impressive. Loads of space on the right again.
Here's Fernando.
Went the wrong way, didn't he? Came inside when he should have gone round on the outside.
Led by Lupin. He's taking the shot there. Dun. Tasked to replace Renato. Opportunity now, of course, for Genesio is to the rest of that squad to go, as Jamie said. It was nice to get some games in a tournament type scenario, isn't it?
Oh, everybody wants to be out on the pitch at some stage, and it's the perfect opportunity. Final game, absolutely nothing to play for, and so yes. And if you're a squad player and you don't get a start in that game, you really think, well, okay, it's time for me to leave this club. To admire Vieira's attitude with what he's done in football and the way he's competed, and he has had fairly recently an injury. Terrific appetite for work in the game. Doesn't use his talent as an excuse for not working hard.
Here's Seung-Gyu. Yumin to Ingyu. Back to that old bereft of ideas and options type scenario again.
Yeah, the game's gone quite scrappy, hasn't it, as well at the moment. This is where the coaches emphasise the need to keep a clean sheet. No point chasing the game, but let's make sure we keep it nice and tidy at the back. Oh,
Min puts his hand up. Lucky. I think they want more.
That's one of those. That could be a straight red.
Yeah.
That's a really shockingly bad challenge. I think the only good thing is that I think both of his feet were off the ground when connection came. If his feet had been planted at the time, he could be in serious trouble.
You can understand the reaction of the Beijing players. Here are the goals for you. First one from Vieira. And the second one, spectacular.
We don't mind watching that.
Yeah, it's well worth seeing again and again, isn't it?
Yep.
From Renato, who applauds the ball in as well there from Wang Gang.
He certainly does. 32 years of age and a full international, and yet he's full of exuberance for the game. It's great when players never lose their love of playing, their passion for the game.
And I think that goes back to what you were saying earlier about the stability he has with just the 4 clubs in his name, because he's obviously that hungry and being a real professional.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Very good pro, and some suspicion that some of the South Americans, some of the Europeans come to China for a fat payday at the end of their career. I don't see much evidence of that from this fella.
That's a very fair point. Again, we stress, we've talked about the qualities of this Beijing side. They've got some fantastic foreign signings, great local-born players as well. FC Seoul, it's an all-Korean side today. No foreign signings. Osma not on the squad.
It's got to be another card that scythed him down.
Oh, Hyun seem to be losing their discipline here. Vieira, and that's why he's furious. It's worth removing the mask to just make the point.
I can entirely understand it from Bruno Genesio.
Yeah, look, they are all over the official, the 4th official there. Amirul is one. Just pick up little snatches of what they're saying in the mic. Something where you go home, they're not happy. And it feels probably to them that Seoul have given up on the game and just finding ways of getting back into the game in other ways.
It's quite ugly. I mean, those 2 challenges in quick succession, very unpleasant. It's not really been that sort of a game. No. And I don't think of FC Seoul as that kind of overly physical team. Men in green look for revenge.
Here is Bardun. There's a squeeze a shot from that kind of angle.
Three men inside, didn't he, there? Probably should have squared the ball.
Again, goes back to the point we're making about just not being clinical at times when they have the options. Sung-Yu trying to be very optimistic there. Sung-Yun. Now Yumin. Here's Ingyu. One sick. Just breaks down for them, and here comes Vieira. Fernando wanted that ball earlier, and that's late from Chi Tong-Guo, who puts his hand up immediately to acknowledge that he was probably in the wrong there. It's a nice ball through. Can it be poked past? It can. Is there a lifeline? Yoon Jae gets one back for Seoul.
Well, that's disappointing for Bruno Genesio. No clean sheet. In the end, it's a nice finish. It all came from this overhit pass, and great refereeing, because that's a bad foul, but he's seen that there's a potential advantage, and that's a lovely pass through. I think for my money, Alsen commits himself a bit too early, goes to ground. Should have stayed on his feet a little bit longer and made himself big. It's probably a little bit too late to turn the result around, but at least a little bit of consolation for the men in black and white.
Scored 2 against Chiang Rai. Has got a third here. Yoon Jae, and crumbs of comfort, maybe.
Well, it's a consolation goal. best.
However, Jamie, it should be anywhere this close, given the number of chances that Beijing have had, and that conversation we had earlier about being clinical. It shouldn't come back to haunt them in this, but
it's not good, and I'm sure that the coach will be emphasising that. You know, they obviously, the coaches study their videotapes of the games. They go through it with the players, and he'll be saying, you know, we've got to be more clinical in these situations.
Especially for a game that they've dominated pretty much from the 4th or 5th minute onwards. That was credit to the way that Seoul started this game.
They did start very nicely.
Minutes of added time.
For most of the time, Beijing have been the dominant force.
They'll try to go all out here. Remember, a little point here could be so valuable to them in the final reckoning. Remember, even a point is enough, depending on what happens in the other game. If it's a draw in the other game, then a point is enough. 3.5 minutes to get that all-important goal. So you've got to get the ball up the other end. Here's Vieira. Hurry now. Fernando.
Just changes the mood of everything for Beijing. Whereas, even if it had gone to just 2-0, they'd have gone off and felt very comfortable about it. Now it's going to be muted, the celebration. Disappointed with themselves, I should think, the players. Certainly a perfectionist like Bruno Genesio will be disappointed.
Nice ball from Chi Tong-kuo. Vieira. Tong Yuning wanted the ball earlier. Vieira. And that is smashed over by Liu Peng.
See, again, that's a really good position. You know, he's only on the edge of the penalty area there.
The ball's no pressure either, is he, good Jamie?
Sorry?
Under no pressure at all.
No, under no pressure, really. He's hit it with the side of his foot, so he's got a nice lot of control over the ball. But he hasn't got his weight far enough forward over the ball. And that's poor.
Putting that on target, I would have thought, at the very least. We've had a number of those types of opportunities. But this is a good ball forward. Tong Yuning, he can just secure things now, and he does. Finally, they get their third goal. He's happy, and Beijing know now they can breathe a little easier, though it has only been the last few minutes where things have got a little nervy for them.
You don't often see a defender completely give up on chasing his man like that, do you? It's just running in glue, isn't he? And it's a nice little run from Tang Yuning. And rounding the goalkeeper, always a pleasure. Cha Oyeon just completely gives up on it. He looks shattered, and that's a nice finish. Okay, pride restored.
Yeah, no doubt now about the result. Just a little bit of time left in this game. Seoul will already have to start thinking about that final match against Melbourne Victory. I don't think many people would have thought at the start of this tournament it would be such a pivotal game. Now, of course, they still have to get through against Chiang Rai. Let's not forget that. I mean, they could limp home with the 6 points anyway, FC Seoul. But here, Mamataki calls time on this match here. Beijing run out in the end, convincing winners, Jamie Reeves.
Yes, and you'd have to say over the 90 minutes they're well worthy of their 3 points, and they've looked the best team in this group by some margin, and I think they could be serious contenders to go all the way and become the East Asian champions. They're a good footballing team, two great Brazilians and a very good Spaniard, and good local players as well. Strong setup.
5 wins out of 5 for Beijing Guoan. They were excellent in this match, and finished with that late goal from Zhang Yuning after a free kick from Vieira and a spectacular shot as well. Scissors kick from their star Renato. The final score here at the Jasungan Hamad Stadium: Beijing FC 3, FC Seoul 1.
Many thanks to Shazad Haq and Jamie Reeves on